Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Jacque Show. I am super excited to talk to y'all today because this has been a topic, we've been talking about detoxing, but this is a topic that is also near and dear to my heart because I am one of these. And as you could tell from the topic here, we're going to be talking about how pharmaceuticals and the Big Pharma is basically marketing and taking over the entrepreneurial, the market. And where I see a problem with that is that when we have entrepreneurs that are out there, we have people who are grinding day in and day out. A lot of the times what happens is we don't intentionally mean to, but as the days, weeks, months, and years go on, then one business turns into two, turns into three, what starts to happen, right? Just like the standard American who goes to a 9-to-5, they sacrifice their health until they hit that retirement age, and then they try to cash in on that retirement to try to get their health back. When it comes to entrepreneurs, like medications are 1,000% designed to keep an entrepreneur on the entrepreneurial path and to be successful in business while slaughtering everything else in their lives, right? Because what are symptoms to us? What are symptoms to entrepreneurs? Symptoms to entrepreneurs, despite your David Goggins and some of these other people out here, they're signs that you're pushing your body past its limit. And I'm not saying, be a lazy couch potato, but sometimes you need to take a minute and you need to unplug. One of my best friends, Dr. Eric Landy, out in Jersey, New York area, he basically told me this morning, he was like, hey, I left the office feeling a little bit off last night from an energy standpoint, so he cleared his books today and took the day off, and he's going to do things to try to nourish his body again. And what happens is entrepreneurs, right, we're like, well, we have to be successful. If I'm not working, I'm not being successful. And if I clock out, then I'm not being successful, or I'm not making as much money as I should or as I could. So we sacrifice it, right? We sacrifice our relationships. And what does that lead into for us, right? We sacrifice our relationship, that we come home to an empty household. We have a divorce on our hand. Maybe you cheat with somebody else because you have a new mistress or a new girl at work that you got attracted to because you're creating this love affair with business, right? But how does this whole thing occur? I know I'm throwing a whole bunch all at the same time because I'm really excited to talk about this stuff because I really hope that this sticks. Hope that the title really catches your eye and makes you say, wait a second, that's exactly what I'm doing. And so I'm hoping to catch the young entrepreneurs, or the people who maybe have been in it for a while, or even the people who just came out of entrepreneurship and they're like, you know what, I do need to get my health back on track, right? So what happens? We start a business, it's stressful. Right. So if we're stressful and depending on what our upbringing is and depending on what our stress threshold is, right, sometimes we could push past some of these stresses and we're like, okay, this is good. This is fine. It's okay. It's okay. But to the average American who's like, I want to be an entrepreneur, when you bite off the entrepreneur bite, you don't realize what all comes with it. The lack of sleep. What's lack of sleep going to do? It's going to create inflammation in the body. It's going to create lack of focus the next day. It's going to cause you to start craving carbohydrates, which that's going to do. It's going to cause a difference in imbalance in your ecosystem or microbiome down in your gut. So we're going to have GI infections. We're going to have sensitive stomachs. Then we're going to have acid reflux. So what do? Medications. What can I take? Acid reflux medication. So that could be a Prilosec. It could be Tums. It could be something that seems harmless, but in fact, you're covering up a symptom of something more serious going on. All the while, your entrepreneurial body is trying to tell you, hey, I understand you're working hard, but I'm falling apart here. And the entrepreneurial coaches that are out there say, fuck your body. Keep pushing through it. I don't care what your body says. You're a pussy if you don't push through it. And that's how things go, right? So they do it. So they push and they take this medication, or they take this over the counter, right? It always starts over the counter. The drugs start over the counter. Okay. And then guess what? Oh my gosh. Now I have acid reflux that I battle with Tums or some sort of Prilosec. And then what else starts to occur? I start developing GI issues, severe GI pain. Okay. Maybe it's the gallbladder. Maybe it's my appendix, or maybe I'm self-soothing with alcohol. And now my liver is getting bogged down. Now my testosterone is going to take a hit. Right? Because hormones are created from cholesterol that's created in your liver, right? And then you can't detox properly. You're burning the B vitamins, and the very B vitamins that we talk about in the detox are being smoked. And that's why a lot of the times when we have people who have chronic alcohol issues, chronic alcohol abuse, if we test them with an organic acids or we test with the metabolomics, and we take a look at how their body is functioning, we see that their B vitamins are completely depleted. Right? So that leads to more liver issues. It leads to more liver cirrhosis or liver cancer, and things go downhill from there. If we continue to ignore it, what happens? Oh no, now we have energy issues, or maybe if we're talking liver, now we're going to have cholesterol problems. So the medical excuse for cholesterol is if you have too much, let's give you less. So we give you a statin medication. Okay. What's that going to do to your body? Is it going to suppress your cholesterol? Yeah. But what else is going to be sacrificed? Your testosterone, right? So then you have these hormone clinics that are out there that are saying, well, now you need TRT because your testosterone is too low. Instead of thinking, well, wait a second, your testosterone was low because you're on that statin, you've been on it for X amount of time, right? And that caused your cholesterol to go down. Cholesterol going down means your testosterone is going down as well. So if testosterone goes down, testosterone is cardioprotective. It protects your heart, right? So statins without CoQ10 is very, very, very detrimental to your health. You have to have CoQ10 in there. Otherwise, your heart's going to be at a higher risk for heart attack. Okay, so let's keep going, right? We're just painting the picture here, and this is just the standard entrepreneur, right? So we talk about that, right? So we have cholesterol. We have blood pressure problems now because we're stressed out all the time, right? Now, statins are going to cause damage to the cholesterol. It's going to cause damage to the cells. Every little teeny tiny cell, every little teeny tiny cell that our body is made out of is going to be damaged. Why? Like, how could you confidently say that? Well, your cells are made out of phospholipid bilayers, right? Fat all around the cells, right? So you stack a statin with doctors trying to tell you stay away from healthy fats. What's that going to lead you to? Destructed or decomposed bad versions of cells. So every single portion of our body starts to be sacrificed. Okay. What else does a statin do? It reduces the hormones. It reduces the ability for your body to be able to function in terms of the cell health. But what else shrinks? What else gets damaged? Your brain. So now we stack an an antacid, right, which has been linked to dementia, by the way. We stack that with a statin that's going to damage the brain as well. So we can't think clearly. So now we're going to be like, you know what else we need to do? We need to go and find a smart drug or nootropic, right? So maybe it's caffeine. Maybe it's just coffee to start, right? It always starts harmless, just coffee. Right? Then it turns into maybe excessive pre-workout consumption. And then it turns into, well, pre-workout doesn't do it anymore, so I'm going to take straight caffeine. If that doesn't work anymore, then you go to toxic energy drinks. Toxic energy drinks are then going to create this problem within your gut where a lot of them have sucralose in them. Sucralose for a prolonged period of time is going to decrease your microbiome again, cause more damage along with the bad foods that you're eating. You're going to have blood sugar imbalances, and now you have type 2 diabetes. Great. What do you get now? Metformin. Go ahead, take metformin. And you have type 2 diabetes. What else can you deal with? Peripheral neuropathy with type 2 diabetes. Guess what else can cause neuropathy? Your statin medications. Right? So you're on metformin now. We're on statin. We're on lisinopril or blood pressure lowering medication. And one of the top side effects of blood pressure lowering medication is a decrease in your heart rate. And you may be like, yes, I want to do that. No, the number one side effect is fatigue. So now you're tired of shit again. You're like, well, I got stuff I need to do. I need to push through this. The caffeine's not doing it anymore. Or doctor told me to lay off caffeine, but yet I still don't have energy. My adrenals are smoked. My testosterone is off. I jumped on TRT, maybe in a dose that is not very good for me. I'm over aromatizing now, and now I have issues with excess estrogen. Okay? Now we have excess estrogen. What's the answer going to be? You could use something like letrozole or an aromatase inhibitor to try to block the conversion of testosterone to estrogen. Another medication, right? So you're collecting these medications all along the way. Now, these examples that I'm using right now are going to be more male specific. We'll get to the females in a minute, and females do some of this as well. So if you are a female entrepreneur, you may fall into these categories, but you're going to have different things that happen with your body. A lot are very similar to the gut and things very, very similar. But we're going to talk about y'all in a second, or in a minute, 20 minutes, we'll see. But the list basically keeps going on. Okay, so we have caffeine not working anymore, and if we talk about more of these smart drugs or these peptides and things that are coming out, and people are like, well, just take this or just take that, and it's this constant outside consumption of what you supposedly need, not what you actually need, and you're just bulldozing the process, right? And so when I work with these entrepreneurs, I'm like, listen, if you treated your health the way that you treated the business, your health would be flourishing and your business would be flourishing and your relationships would be flourishing as well, right? Another side effect of statins, okay, is going to be erectile dysfunction. You already have low testosterone, you throw erectile dysfunction on there. Great. What are you going to do? Now you're going to use Cialis, you're going to use Viagra. You're going to feel like less of a man because you're pushing rope in the bedroom, right? And then what can potentially happen from there? All of that stress, all of that neglect, guess what starts to go, man? Your prostate. All right, so now you're dribbling when you go to the restroom, or you have that urgency, or you're waking up 48 times at night, right? And it could be your prostate, could be liver issues, could be poor sleep, could be poor stress. Okay, and so this entire time, you're taking things from the outside, consuming from the outside, because your medical doctors or your buddy or this health expert online is supposedly telling you this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do. All the while, all you're trying to do is treat the symptom, never the cause. Okay, because in the entrepreneurial world, things have to be quick. Things need to be done. Things need to be showing a return on investment. If I invest $100 in a stock or something like that, it's a high-risk stock, high reward, maybe in a year or so, I don't really play the stock game, but in a year or so, I could probably see, oh, that was a great investment because I made tenfold my investment, whatever that might be. Again, you could tell I don't do this because I don't like to play with that, but that's not me. So when it comes to your health, there's not, unless you do these tests, unless you run diagnostic tests and actual diagnostic tests, not these medical bullshit tests, when you run actual tests, you can see, hey, what's my CRP? What's my C-reactive protein? What's my inflammatory markers like? What's my homocysteine like? What's my vitamin D like? What's my testosterone like? What's my sex hormone binding globulin like? What's my estradiol like? What are my liver enzymes like? What's my blood sugar like? What's my hemoglobin A1C like? Okay, what's my cholesterol like? Right? So you can have all of these markers, and I'm doing this to like drown y'all in information, because if you are an entrepreneur and you're listening to me out there, trying to make this as short as possible, because I know you got stuff to do, right? Because when it comes to entrepreneurs, we sacrifice so many things, and if we're willing to sacrifice our relationships, which most entrepreneurs are, then you sure as shit better believe that you're going to be sacrificing your health, because your relationship is pretty damn important, right? You could fix your health later, yeah, but if you're willing to sacrifice your relationship, I mean, come on, you shouldn't have gotten into the business to begin with. Otherwise, your relationship was shit, and you try to hide in the business anyways, which a lot of entrepreneurs do anyhow, but you don't really fit into my category. You could still fall into that, but you're also a type of person that I will call out. Andy Elliott and Jacqueline Elliott, you being idiots for spending 20 minutes a day with your kids, you should not have had children. And I will say that till I'm blue in the face. And Jacqueline, I called you out on your page, and you try to pull the whole Southern bless your heart thing, and you're full of shit. You shouldn't have been a mom, and your kids, you're going to have a therapy bill to pay. Anyways, moving past my disgust for some entrepreneurs that are out there, which is ultimately why I'm doing these types of posts, right? We do these things to try to treat certain things, right? Let's take this so we can go here. What I see so often is this abuse of HRT. Testosterone thing for men and women is something that is so important to know what the hell you're doing before you do it. And it's so, people are so quick to jump on it, where I've talked to patients where they'll be at an event, or they'll be at a mastermind conference, or they'll be at on a golf course, or I don't know, like on a beach somewhere, and their buddies will be like, oh man, I jumped on TRT and I've been feeling better than I ever have. I'm like, oh, okay. So then that person goes to their doctor and says, hey, can I get put on TRT? And a doctor, medically speaking, if you're running it through insurance, you have to get your testosterone tested, but they don't tell you why your testosterone was low to begin with. Right? The majority of the time in entrepreneurs, the reason your testosterone is low is because you're too stressed out. Okay. But if I tell an entrepreneur, hey, you need to take some time off, you need to work on diet, you need to spend some time doing breath work, you need to spend some time with your family, you need to spend your time doing some reset, go on a vacation, leave your damn phone behind. Don't do business while you're trying to relax. It's impossible. You can't. Okay, you can't do it. But for entrepreneurs, the thing that sucks, and I feel like empathetically, I feel terrible that y'all get stuck, that you get sucked into this. But man, my team's going to have to slow down this talk. But for entrepreneurs, the majority of the time, they're not going to change anything until something very serious happens to them. Okay, a heart attack. All right. Or they may go back to the same cardiologist that's been treating them for the last 40 years that allowed them to have a fucking heart attack and be like, hey, I had a heart attack. What can I do? And you're like, oh, take this, take this, take this. Now you're stuck on drugs for life. And now you're battling for your life. And you don't want to be too stressed out now, or you don't want to eat too much of that, or you want to do. It takes a life-changing event, a radically threatening event to your health and to your well-being, and really, to a lot of them, to your ability to be able to make money if you have to take time off for surgery, for cardiac surgery. You're going to think about things a little bit differently. I can't work as hard because I know that if I continue to push this way, I'll have another heart attack and it's going to take me out for, we're just going to make up 4 weeks. Longer than that, but 4 weeks, right? So if I'm sitting here and I'm like, listen, entrepreneurs, this is what we need to work on. This is what we need to focus on. We need to put intentional time, intentional effort on ourselves and on our bodies. And one of the things that I absolutely loved, and I know I've been posting about it. I had the honor to meet Ben Pakulski, former pro bodybuilder, just a freaking brilliant human being, and he got to the point where he was so big, and he shares the story a lot. But I believe he said he was 200 and I think he may have been 300 pounds. He was a big boy, and he didn't have mobility. He couldn't hang out with his kids. And I know I'm paraphrasing a lot, but the big why for Ben turned into, I want to be there for my kids. I want to be as healthy as humanly possible. I want to set the example for that. So Ben goes between what he calls the warrior and the monk, where he's able to switch, and he's like one of the most even-keeled people that I've ever met for being so successful in everything that he has done, and he has just this tenacity. But what does he do? He practices self-work. So yes, he works out, but he knows about breath work. He knows about plant medicine. He knows about all of these other things that can work on benefiting your health for longevity and not just the short-term gain of things. Right? So there are entrepreneurs that are sprinkled in throughout here that are doing it the right way. But it's like sometimes we're yelling on top of a rooftop or on top of a mountain. We're like, guys, like, we've been there. Don't make my mistakes. Like, come on, learn from what I did wrong. Right? But entrepreneurs tend to not want to listen until it falls apart. So for the man, by the time we're 60, most men have their first heart attacks. And for entrepreneurs, the statistics on splitting entrepreneurs into other categories is almost impossible to find, but I know that you can do your own logical assessment and think about the entrepreneurs that you know. The entrepreneurs that you know, you may envy them in that they always look like they're going and going and going, but they never have any idea how to slow down. If you don't know how to slow down, you don't know how to coast. It's like keeping a car in first gear and never shifting out of first gear, but slamming it down and redlining it until the car breaks down. They're doing the same things to their bodies. Right? So you keep accumulating all of these medications. You cannot gain your health back anymore. It's like this sprint that you're doing, and you have a marathon of a race. If you sprint the whole time in a marathon, you're not going to last. Your body's going to break down. You're not pacing yourself. You're not doing things. You're not rehydrating. You're not eating. It's like doing a marathon and not eating a single thing, not even a ketone, not even branched chain amino acids, no water, no nothing. It's like, no, I know what my destination is. Right? I wanted this business to be successful. I know what my marathon finish line is like. And I'm going to sprint there as fast as possible because I need to compete with Joe down the street, or I need to compete with this guy over here, or this woman over here. Okay? Or this YouTuber that's 10 years old and making multi-million dollars according to what they tell you on Instagram. Right? So for men, we have to be smart. If you're over-converting, what I was saying is if you're over-converting into estrogen, which most people are, men and women, because we're stressed out, we eat shit food all the time, we're over-converting to estrogen, then we pour more testosterone into your body, then what's happening to men out there? To me, I'm seeing in my circle and what I'm seeing, my sphere of influence, the rate of gynecomastia or male breast dominance is starting to go higher. Why? Because if you're losing testosterone, if testosterone is low because you have excess estrogen, because the aromatase activity within your body is super high, and I stack in more testosterone, then you're going to develop more estrogen or more estradiol, to be honest, more estradiol, then your body is not going to be able to clear it because you're just constantly making more and more and more estrogen. Okay? So always, if you're an entrepreneur and you really want to find the issue here, make sure you start with a diet, make sure you start with a lifestyle, make sure you run the proper diagnostic tests, and next time somebody tries to put you on a medication, be that a TRT or the Cinepril or a statin, ask questions. Will this fix my problem? No. It's a short-term gain for a long-term loss. Okay? And women, you are not out of this. Okay? So all of these things that I said about gut health and about the antacids and about the caffeine and the dependency and all these things, this is going to be controversial. Women are not meant to... Oh, I bumped it. Why did that? Women are not meant to... Oh, this is going to be bad. Women are not built to work like men. Okay? They're not designed for it. Okay? What I see, hormonally speaking, is when a woman operates exclusively in her masculine, where she's an entrepreneur, she's crushing it in business. The more she's doing that, the sicker she is. Now, there may be an emotional reason. There may be a bad spousal issue where the man is not being a man, so she has to assume the male role, right? But as a female, y'all need to rest. Y'all need your cycles to be immaculate. Think back in high school. You yourself or maybe a friend that maybe exercised too much, or they're like a 2-sport or 3-sport athlete, or they would do like track and softball, or for men it'd be like track and baseball, but we're talking women here. Then what would happen? You'd have amenorrhea. You would skip your cycle. You would skip your menstrual cycle. You wouldn't get it. Okay? Now, we know that for being a kid, but when we shift into adulthood, it's like we forget that the same thing can occur. So when our bodies are stressed out, and when your bodies are stressed out, you are eliminating what makes you a woman. Your ability to cycle, your ability to procreate, your ability to have proper levels of progesterone. So in terms of the entrepreneurial community, what breaks my heart is when I see somebody going through a miscarriage. Breaks my heart. We've been through that. We had our issue when we worked to have our first kid. Now we've had 2 since, and they're incredibly healthy. Home births, all natural, everything. You could thank Megan for that. Yes, I fixed her, but she's the one who did all the work, all of it. But when I see somebody have a miscarriage, there is a blessing and a curse of it. That it can go 2 ways. The blessing is that sometimes these women will be like, you know what? I don't want to keep grinding the way that I'm grinding, and I want to start working on my health. I want to start being healthier, right? I want to lose some weight, or I want to fix my PCOS or my endometriosis. It's caused from work ethic, because I'll see, hormonally speaking, the male dominant hormones will shift into an overwhelming presence, and they'll actually have excess masculinity. Their estrogens will be low, progesterone will be low, so their primarily produced hormones are then going to be male-dominant hormones. Terrible for a woman to have. Terrible. You will not be able to get pregnant, and if you do, you're going to have a higher likelihood of miscarriage. So entrepreneurial women, the big thing that gets you is that you're going to be putting yourself at a higher risk for miscarriage if you're not taking care of yourself. There's cycles. There's these cyclical cycles that happen every single month. There's 4 weeks out of the month, and in each of those 4 weeks, you are 4 different versions of yourself. Okay, you have the menstrual period where you shouldn't be doing anything. You should be resting. There's the follicular phase, which is 7 days, which you should be crushing it. That should be your primary. If you have meetings or webinars or engagements or anything that you need to do, the follicular phase will be by far your most productive, most creative, awesome phase of your entire month. Okay. As that cruises on, you can ride the high from your follicular phase as you go through ovulation, and you'll go into luteal phase. As luteal phase occurs, it's like this bell curve, and you're supposed to start shutting down overwhelming production or overwhelming stress. So some women will need to take the week before their period off and the week of their period off. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to grind, then you got 2 weeks, or you have 2 weeks out of the month where you can push yourself to the max, right? 2 weeks. So a week after your period and the week after that. So basically 2 weeks following the end of your bleeding there, or 2 weeks following the start of your period, should be the easiest time for you to get stuff done. And if you're an entrepreneur, when was the last time you did that? Probably not ever. Okay, so again, I know I'm going to get hate for it, which is fine because it's going to generate conversation. Let's just have a conversation about it. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be successful. I'm not saying that you can't do it. I'm saying you're not built for it. Okay? You can grind in a season, know what you're doing to your body, though, and try to work on your body. Try to nourish your body. Try to find some time for yourself. But women get trapped into the production cycle, and they don't want to take a step out, and so they keep sacrificing themselves over and over again for production, for revenue, for bragging rights, for Instagram posts to say they made 7 figures in a month. Right? The goal in life should be to express life and experience life at its fullest. At the end of the day, you don't take your businesses with you to the grave. Okay, you can take your memories, and if your memories, you want them to be that you attended 78 masterminds in a week one time, and that's like your ideal memory. If that's what you want, then that's fine. But for me, what's more important than that? Those things don't identify who I am. I am me. I am Jacque. I am a husband. I am a father. Yes, I'm a naturopathic health expert. I help people internationally. Sure, it's a part of my identity, but it's not who I am. Right? I'm here to be the best, most brightest version of myself that God put me here to be. That's it. And so the reason that I work my 16-hour work week is so 16 hours of the week is dedicated to helping others. And the rest of the time of the week, right, is spent with my family, spent making memories with them. Yeah, I work a couple other hours, do podcasts like I'm doing right now, doing podcasts here. But my priorities are straight. My priorities are right. I'm just turned 37 years old, right? And I want this message to pierce through this entrepreneurship because I'm tired. I'm tired of it. And I feel horrible, but I am. I'm tired of it. Where, I'll work with people, or people will say that they want to work with me. And then I'll ask them to do something and then they can't do it. I'm like, you're a high-level entrepreneur. You've created, I'm just going to make this up, you created 10 businesses, but you can't even order a meal service to get your meals. Like, yeah, I mean, for entrepreneurs, it's a pain in the butt to cook, sure. And for meal prepping, they can't meal prep. So then it's like, we'll get a meal service, customized meal service, or get one of my buddies, Chris. If you need a private chef or anything like that, let me know. I got a guy for that. But you can have somebody make the meals for you. Right? You're like, well, I can't do it. Or they'll be like, oh, you know what? I found this new thing that nobody's researched yet. I'm going to try that. There's this nootropic. I should do that. Oh, I'm going to go over here because this is easy. This means I don't have to do shit. It's a permission slip to keep living the same toxic lifestyle that brought me to you to begin with. And I trust you, and I think what you do is right, but it's going to take a little bit longer. And I would like, so I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to go do this. And then a year later, they come back, and they're like, hey, I'm worse than I was. And I'm like, no shit. Like, what did you expect to happen? You didn't change the reason, you didn't change any of the variables that got you to where you are today. And so entrepreneurs, we have to fucking wake up, because the marketing for pharmaceuticals is being shoved down your throat. Don't take another day off. Take this. Don't even think about getting sick. Take this fucking COVID jab. Don't even think about getting sick. Take this over here. Oh, you don't have time to have a heart attack. Oh, just do the statin drug and let's do this blood pressure medication just to be safe. Oh, and by the way, take a baby aspirin. It damages the shit out of your fucking body. Don't mention turmeric, but baby aspirin will be good for you. And all they're doing is closing in on your death being just a wee bit sooner. Okay? It could go both ways if you want to split hairs. You may live a little bit longer, you may not. But it leads all of these complications all along the way. And these medications are just designed to kind of drag out a miserable existence on this earth. So we need to wake up. We need to understand that just the same marketing that we use to try to generate new clients, new patients, new people in our sphere of influence, the same marketing that we use, times that times a billion, and that's what the pharmaceutical companies are doing to you. Right? Pretending that you can jump around and play with your kid if you just take this, or you can do this if you just take this, or you could do this if you just take this. All it is outside-in approach. And when has allopathic health ever helped us? And it hasn't. It hasn't. Medical care is designed to treat us in trauma crisis. If we break a bone, or heaven forbid, if you deal with what I did, where I had a subdural hematoma, cracked my skull open, yeah, I want a hospital to fix that. I want a hospital to fix my brain, 100%. But then after that, I'm not going to be like, oh, they fixed it, so I don't have to do shit anymore. Doesn't make any sense. Now I'm sensitive to the fact that I need to be better. I need to take care of myself, right? I never want to deal with a subdural hematoma ever again. I don't want to deal with spinal cord injuries or fractures in my spine ever again. So what am I going to do? Take care of my spine, get adjusted. Take care of my body, get tested, get certain herbs, supplements, do certain protocols, certain regimens to make sure I'm bulletproof, right? So we have to wake up. We have to be willing to put the time in. And if I can encourage entrepreneurs, just like I encourage people going through pregnancies, right? If I can encourage you, if you're thinking about starting a business, get your health in order first. If you're going to get pregnant, get your health in order first. If you do that, you're going to have more resiliency, right? You have better habits, you have more resiliency, and it'll be like a muscle memory where you come back to, you're like, oh yeah, I remember all I needed to do, which I'm sure you've said, all I need to do is this. All I need to do is that. Not take this. All I need to do, personal responsibility, is take, all I need to do is do this. So you assess yourself, and it's hard to try to do it yourself. And I have people that work with me, and I have people that tell me what to do. I have coaches that tell me what to train, and coaches that tell me what to eat and how much to eat, and they schedule all that stuff for me because I don't want to freaking do it. Could I? Yeah. Do I want to? No. I'm going to pay somebody else to do it, right? Because I know that that's important. And that's one of the things with work with muscle intelligence. These guys are great because they help me to fine-tune my mind. I'm not trying to pitch them. If you want to, I do have a code for that, and I can get you in contact with Ben, or I coach with Gavin. But these guys keep you in alignment where if you're going through stressful times, you're like, work on your body, work on you, treat yourself right, put yourself first. The other stuff you can deal with later, but make sure you take care of yourself first, right? So do that. So if you're prepping to be pregnant, or if you're prepping to be an entrepreneur, or if you're in the middle of being an entrepreneur, or you're at the end of being an entrepreneur, and you're like, I hated being an entrepreneur, or whatever it might be, the stuff, the systems, the procedures that I have developed and that I have created is exactly right for you. And the funniest part is the same thing that's right for you as an entrepreneur is the same thing that's great for Susie down the street that's not an entrepreneur. Why? Because I test you. I don't test who you are. I test what you are. I test what's going on inside, and I analyze things. Now, my suggestions are going to be different. Now, if you have the same infection, I may suggest the same thing. But if it comes to lifestyle, it comes to like, oh, you're sleeping like shit. Well, I'm going to tell you, hey, you need to sleep better. So I'm going to give you things. I'm going to talk to you about different things that you can do to sleep better. Or you're stressed out all the time, or you're on these blood pressure medications. Well, let's talk about that, just like anybody else. But entrepreneurs need to understand that you need to put that same level of emphasis and effort into your health. Otherwise, what the heck is the point of growing a business? Because you're just going to lose your health. Doesn't matter how many medications you take. Doesn't matter how many peptides you stumble across. It doesn't matter. If you keep putting shit into your body and you're not sleeping and you're doing all of the things that made you unhealthy to begin with, then those things are only going to last for a certain period of time. And then you're going to have another diagnosis and another medication, then another diagnosis, another medication, then another surgery, then another medication, then another surgery, then another medication. And then you're a vegetable with dementia sitting in a chair, and you don't even remember any of the businesses that you had. You don't remember any of the things that you wanted to remember. You don't remember having a wife. You don't remember having kids. You don't remember having grandkids. Why? Because you chose not to take care of your health and entrepreneurship. So I'm going to sign off with that. So that's my rant on entrepreneurs. Guys, we got to wake up. Guys and girls, when I say guys, it's everybody. Guys, we got to wake up. Okay, we got to wake up to what's going on. We got to wake up to start taking care of ourselves again. It's going to take time. It's going to take effort. But I promise you, it is worth it in the long run. Stop taking the shortcuts. You don't want to take, unless you know it works, right? In business, you're not going to want to take a shortcut in business because you're typically going to screw things up. Right? You don't want to try experimental things in business unless you know what the ROI is going to be. When it comes to your health, test yourself, work on yourself, fix yourself. Every other area of your life will improve when you improve your health. Your relationships, your businesses, the longevity of life, your markers, everything will improve. So that being said, I'm out. I'm going to stop shaking my computer. And you guys have a great rest of the day. Thanks for tuning in as always. And remember, be your own health advocate. Never let anybody else tell you what to do. Learn it on your own as I'm telling you what to do. Learn it on your own. Learn it here. Learn it wherever you want to. But make sure that you understand that your health is your responsibility and nobody else's. We'll talk soon.